Now we have three functions in trigonometry. We have what we know as sine, then we have cosine, and thirdly we have tangent. We have sine, cosine, and tangent. Do you understand? Now the short form for sine is sin, sine. The short form for cosine is cos, and then the short form for tangent is tan. Can you see? We just take the three letters that starts the word. Does this make sense? Sine, cos, and tan. Do you understand? These are the three functions we have in trigonometry. Now the question you would want to ask is, when do we use sine, when do we use cos, and when do we use tan? Now that's why you need to know this popular word. I call it abbreviation. It's called so, ka, twa. Now this helps us to know when to use sine or cos or tan. So, ka, twa. Now what this means is that in a question, when you relate opposites with hypotenuse, you use sine. When you relate adjacent with hypotenuse, you use cos. When you relate opposites with adjacent, you use tan. Now to better understand this, let's take some examples. Now we have this question: calculate the unknown. This should be unknown in the triangle below. Then we have 30, cos 30, and tan 30. And then we've got this triangle below. Now if you're not given sine 30, cos 30, or tan 30, you could always find for them either on a 4-figure table or on a calculator. Now let's try to solve this. Now the first thing you want to do is to label the sides of the triangle. Now remember, the side facing the right angle is the hypotenuse, so this is the hypotenuse. Then the side facing the angle given, in this case 30 degrees, is the opposite. Then the third side is the adjacent. Do you understand? Now the next step is to note the two sides you are relating. Now in this case we are relating adjacent with hypotenuse. Now when you've noted that, next thing you need to remember is so, ka, twa. Now what do we have when we relate adjacent with hypotenuse? Definitely we have ka, adjacent and hypotenuse. And what's the trigonometric function for ka? Cos. Does that make sense? So first step, label the triangle. Second step, remember so, ka, twa. Third step, note the trigonometric function you are going to use. Now because we are relating adjacent with hypotenuse, we know we have ka, and then that makes us know that we'll be using the cos trigonometric function. Does that make sense? So let's write the formula for cos. Cos theta equals to what? Adjacent over hypotenuse. That's why you need to remember so, ka, twa. So we have adjacent over hypotenuse, not hypotenuse over adjacent. It's not sha, it's ka, adjacent over hypotenuse. Do you understand? Now remember, theta is the angle, so we have cos 30 equals to adjacent. What's adjacent? 8 over hypotenuse. What is hypotenuse in this case? X. Do you understand? Now we're giving cos 30 as 0.8660. So we slot it in. So we have 0.8660 equals to 8 over x. Do you understand? Now when we have one fraction on either side of the equal to sign, we cross multiply. So 0.8660 times x will give us 0.8660x equals to 8 times 1 is 8. So to find x, we divide both sides by 0.8660. 0.8660 cancels 0.8660. So we are left with x. X equals to 8 divided by 0.8660. That is approximately 9.2. So if I write it somewhere, x equals to 9.2 centimeters. And here is our answer.